Hello, welcome to Digital Workshops, a new series that we are putting together as better business collaboration. I run a number of different businesses, and one of my businesses is a digital marketing agency called Your Easy Web Solutions. Now, I want to share with you proven strategies and tactics that we use for our customers that you should be able to utilize in your business if you follow the approach that we share as well. Today's topic is SEO using competitor insights and niche strategy to rank in Google. So let's kick that off. So first of all, a little bit about who we are. Like I said, the name of the agency is Your Easy Web Solutions. And this particular collaboration, Better Business, is there to support my book that's coming out pretty soon, which is called Better Business That Works. And I've also got a podcast as well, which is called Better Business Podcast. We're a results-based marketing agency that have been going since 2007. I guess how we're different from a lot of other agencies is that we are very personalized in terms of delivering the work to our customers and working with people individually based on their businesses and their models. We also do no contracts. And from my perspective, I think it's very important to have specific skill sets in order to provide specialties as well. So our company is a Google Premier Partner. We have been a Google Premier Partner for quite some time. And this is a privilege for us to obviously get insights from Google, as well as also be in the top 5% of the agencies specializing in things like Google Ads. We do a lot of stuff with Meta advertising, and we're a Meta partner. And we also utilize tools like Active Campaign, where we partner with them as well to deliver some of the best email marketing campaign practices in order to help businesses with lead gen and e-com type of campaigns as well. So today I've got Max Kulikov with me, who is my head of SEO at Use. How you going there, Max?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Alexi.
Good to have you here with me, mate. I think there's quite a few things that you and I can share with people. And obviously, my name is Alexi. I'm the managing director of Your Easy Web Solutions and the man behind Better Business. My goal is to really bring you the right content to create a positive change. I want to make sure that the information you learn is applicable, and it's not the basics that you're going to find out, easily on the internet. It's something that actually has been research developed, and you will hear a lot of references to various tools that we use along the way as well. But we hear from Max a little bit later in this section. So let me proceed with the slides. So here are some of the businesses that we work with. I mean, we work with a variety of different businesses, which gives us enough idea of how different industries work. These businesses have got different coverages, either nationally or locally. Some of these have got international coverage as well. But our portfolio really ranges from software companies, to online stores, dentists, lawyers, tradies. We have a pretty good mix of businesses. What I like with all these businesses is that there's always a niche behind each business. And niche is really what we're going to talk today as a strategy, because I think if you're just going to jump into SEO as a concept, a lot of the time that strategy or the approach is actually being missed. And people try to go and optimize their websites for just about every keyword and then realize they don't really get the rankings that they're after. So agenda for today is obviously a brief overview of what we're discussing today, SEO, niche marketing. Then we're going to talk about niche as a strategy. Then we'll go into the live training session with Max. We'll have a section on tips, and look, while we can talk about many different things, I have only picked one specific tip for you today. And then we'll go into Q&A session based on some of the questions that we have received. All right, so yeah, let's get going. I guess brief overview of SEO. I think the focus of SEO seems to be all about keywords. Look, this is where it starts. I mean, I've obviously got another view, but I thought it's important to address the fact that not all keywords are equal. A lot of the keywords basically have got different intent, and people would search those keywords based at different stages of the marketing funnel, which is something that you're seeing on the right-hand side. Now, most of the time when it comes to search engine marketing, whether you're doing Google Ads or SEO, it's really about the consideration phase. Now, the consideration phase is where a person who's searching for a particular service or product sort of knows enough about it. So when they make a search, they are a step away from making an inquiry or a purchase. However, a lot of the time, what's actually missing is the steps prior to it. So, awareness and discovery are the steps that really allow you to position yourself on the map as a business and educate people about what you do. with the sole purpose of generating trust, because people like to work with businesses that they trust, they know, they understand, and they potentially align with as well. To give you a comparison, this is why businesses like gyms, for example, work quite well in a lot of different industries based on the fact that they've got a name that a certain segment of people trust. Look, I don't specifically agree with gyms as a business model, and that's a whole other topic. But I do think that if people understand your brand and have got a positive association with it, they will be more likely to consider your services as opposed to your competitors as well. I think what's important is to identify keywords with intent. Now, what does that mean? Now, to give you a good example, if you look at a keyword like plumber, for example, versus plumber, let's say Wollongabba is a suburb where, let's say, our office is located, you will find that people searching for a keyword plus a location typically are looking for a local plumber, and they have got the right intent in order to engage that person. So that typically means that they actually want somebody local, which means that the information they're going to find needs to support that claim. And I think, if you look into the Google results at this present moment, you're going to find a lot of local businesses that come up through Google My Business profile with all the reviews, addresses, phone numbers, and whatnot. Now, if you look at it on the mobile, you'll find that Google tends to push that information right up. And they have also got a bit of a hybrid result based on Google ads as well. So if you're running Google ads, there is an extension that links to your Google business. And, obviously shows that on top of the ads. But what I'm trying to say, it's all about relevance according to that intent. Now, Google Ads is another topic that we'll cover in another session, so don't get sidetracked. But I thought it's really important to outline the whole idea behind intent. Now, when it comes to SEO, I think it's very important to understand the rules of the game. You really are wanting to get your content to be relevant with the search terms as opposed to manipulate the results. Google has got this written black and white. These things get updated all the time, but at the end of the day, you need to make sure you understand what SEO entails, because last thing you want to do is spend all the time creating an awesome website, writing a lot of content, only to get banned by Google or, potentially violate one of their rules. And look, they are not the easiest company to work with, I must say. I think it's also important to understand, your local rankings versus organic rankings. So the Google My Business versus the organic results that typically come down below that, or typically are the results that you see for generic queries, not the local ones. This is something that's, really individual for each business. But overall, I must say that if you run a local business, especially one with location, you must have your Google business profile looked after and make sure you get reviews from your happy customers in order to stand out. The golden rule, in my opinion, is to have your business come up as many times as possible for those high intent keywords, because as a strategy, you will multiply your exposure. And typically, a lot of people who prefer to skip Google ads will basically pay attention to your reviews and your organic rankings in order to decide to choose you instead of your competitors. What we found over the years is that running Google ads and SEO side by side typically gets you, triple or quadruple effect in terms of traffic and exposure. So doing multiple strategies definitely works quite well. However, you obviously need to understand your ROI and the whole business model behind running your Google ads to make sure it's actually affordable. So please don't waste money on advertising and marketing campaigns that don't work. I mean, unless you've got obviously a strategy that does monetize, but please don't do it for the sake of doing it. And I guess one other thing that's important to mention, that this is not your basics session on SEO. We may run a session on SEO basics if that's what you guys are after, but this will be based on your request. I really wanted to make sure that we share something that's modern, something that's up to date in order to help you achieve better results through SEO. But anyway, I hope the digital marketing funnel works. If not, happy to address any of your questions afterwards. Or if you want to shoot us an email or any comments through social media, be more than happy to engage on this topic. So niche as a strategy. So let's talk about, why niche marketing. Well, first of all, if you are, specializing in something and being really specific what you target, you typically will find that specialists typically charge more for their services as opposed to generalists. This is quite common when it comes to doctors, lawyers, or trade specialists, for example. The other thing is that being specific actually allows you to minimize the exposure of your marketing and only show it to the right sort of people. So, for example, we work with a lot of roofing companies, and a lot of companies just basically want to come up for the word roofing. When you start talking to them, their business is actually more about, let's say, metal roofing or tile roofing specifically, as opposed to the other. And if you are to focus on one area of the business, you are coming to the customers with a much stronger and better message, and then you're able to address their worries and concerns on a much higher level as well. So, for example, if someone's wanting to get a metal roof, that could be a conversion from tile to metal, which is called re-roof, for example. Now, understanding these little keywords actually allows you to advertise quite successfully and only compete with only a few competitors, which is a really big tip right there. And what really supports the whole thing in terms of SEO is things like content, because Google at the end of the day will rank your website based on the content and the backlinks to that content. Now, obviously, Max is going to talk about a particular bunch of tactics that he has identified in order to, I guess, use competitor insights in order to rank websites. But I think if you start with a niche and understand that you don't want your website to rank for everything, it really changes the whole perspective, because at the end of the day, I think it's important to get timely results. Because look, I come across a lot of competitive markets where people just want to rank for something, and realistically, it's going to take them months, if not years, to rank for something like that. And in reality, Google likes to change the algorithm quite a fair bit. So for me, I think it's about either understanding those niches that really translate into results, which are inquiries and sales, or coming up with something that allows you to get a smarter exposure in front of the customer. You utilize things like YouTube ads or whatever actually is in the trend in order to engage that customer market. Now, on top of that, you obviously need to understand that when people refer as well, naturally, like this is obviously aside from all SEO, if someone refers you as a roofer, that's one thing. But if they refer you, let's say specifically for metal roofing, who specializes in re-roofs, that's a completely different type of inquiry, and you'd be likely to be attracting a lot better referrals based on that. And that basically minimizes the number of people that you're potentially competing against. So these are just some of the ideas behind the niche strategy. And look, this is huge. You can really drill down into as much as you can. But at the end of the day, you want a niche that's inch wide and mile deep. You want something that is specific, but at the same time has got enough following behind it. So you're not just going for something that no one searches. So really, really important to understand that. And I think, the reason why I wanted to plug this into this particular presentation is that I see way too many people who pick keywords and bluntly just try to optimize for them because they think, hey, this is a popular keyword, there's a lot of traffic there. I think it's very important to understand the competitors. It's very important to understand the actual intent and obviously the customer who's likely to search for the keyword as well. And if you're able to align everything within your website or a landing page specifically to that niche, you will find you will get much better engagement and overall user experience along the way. So let's hand over to Max for live training, because look, there's lots to cover and I want to make sure that we go over some things that are, like I said, up to date. And Max is the man. He is my front man for SEO at Use. We have been working together for quite some time. In fact, before starting Use, Max has worked for me at another company. So we go way back. Anyway, Max is a true expert when it comes to SEO, and he's got hundreds of websites that are ranking for various keywords. And most importantly, they are generating results for customers. And as a results agency, that's exactly what we do. Anyway, over to you, Max. If you want to share your screen and take over, that would be great. That would be great.
Thanks, Alexi. Just need you to click the share button on your end so I can do it.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the intro, Alexi. And yeah, hello, everyone. As Alexi mentioned, my name is Max. And yeah, I'm hopefully going to be able to share some really practical stuff for you today. So yeah, hope you're excited for it.
Cool. I think you just have to hit the share button, Max, and it's all yours.
It's all good now. Awesome. Thank you, Alexi. All right. So welcome to this live training session. Now, yeah, thanks for the intro, Alexi. And yeah, that was a perfect setup for what I'm going to cover for you guys. So yeah, obviously we want to make this practical and just really current. So I will show you a few very specific things which are working today. We've tested it with many clients, and yeah, we're very confident that today this is what is working. So firstly, we want to have a look at what's the big picture of SEO. It's very important to know what is the big picture. So a good way to look at SEO is you have 3 stages of an SEO journey, or let's say stages of development. And it depends where your website is to determine how long things are going to take and then what tactics you need to apply. If you are just starting out, then effectively your website is in a sandbox. So what that means is you need to get trust on Google. You have no trust on Google and you need to get that trust. Typically, that can take between 3 and 6 months, depending on what you're doing. But again, depending on the niche, if it's a good niche with low levels of competition and high levels of opportunity, then you can shorten that time quite a bit. The next phase after that is what we call the trustworthy phase. So if you're trustworthy, then that means you might be getting some kind of page one rankings already, or getting close to page one. Typically, that's sort of what we start to see when you hit the trustworthy section. So when you're starting to get some inquiries and traffic coming through, that's when you know you've reached it. It's not quite at the level where it could replace other marketing channels or make a big dent, but at least at that point, you know that you're making momentum and Google's now starting to actually assign trust to you for that topic. So, once you reach a trustworthy phase, really, the final trajectory for you then is to go and become an authority in your niche. So this is why the niche becomes very important. Alexei mentioned, inch wide, mile deep niche. Essentially, you want to be the big fish in the small pond. If you can take that territory, then that essentially is what authority means. And there is a pathway to become that on Google through SEO. So to give you an analogy, a good way to look at Google, or the page one on Google more specifically, it's a lot like a car race. So, we've got a Formula One example here. You have your top 10, and obviously your top 3 are going to be the guys that are getting most of the traffic. In fact, it can be such a big difference that the top 3 guys could be getting anywhere between 7 to 15 times more traffic and inquiries than the guys at the bottom of page one. So it's quite significant. If you look at it from the car analogy example, what allows these guys to be in the top 3? Why are they in the top 3? Well, you look at the chassis, look at the wheels, look at the fuel they're using, what's the pit crew. So you got to understand that the car is optimized for being in those top 3 positions. That's why they are there, and they are being rewarded for it. So, for us to be able to compete with those top 3 guys, we have to match them. We have to be at that same level. So that's the analogy. So let's go through the different phases, how you get there, and then we'll cover some specific tactics and approaches. If you're in the sandbox phase, then you're facing what's called the sandbox challenge. So like I said, there is no trust. You are brand new. I'm sure you guys have experienced this before. I've seen websites like this. You might have rankings, from page 5 onwards, nothing anywhere near page 1. So the main focus here is you must gain trust on Google. Gaining trust on Google is the name of the game here, as well as build out your website and grow out your content. So how do you increase your trustworthiness? How do you gain that trust? A good way to look at it in terms of a real world equivalent, if you're starting from 0, then effectively you have no reputation. You're the new guy on the block. Nobody knows who you are. So just like in the real world, we need to get social proof. Now, backlinks are actually the social proof equivalent of search engines. So just like in the real world, someone that has a good reputation points to you and then tells everyone else, look, this guy is legit, this person is awesome, then your social proof increases. Very much the same on Google and search engines. That's the function of backlinks. If you're getting backlinks from very reputable domains, and how we define that is, we like to put a nice simple domain rating 50 plus, which is the Ahrefs measurement. That's the one I prefer to use, and it's just nice and simple. If you can get backlinks of that caliber and above, then that is your ideal form of social proof. So if you're in the sandbox stage, the emphasis should be on backlinks, acquiring the backlinks. And it's not just the backlinks from the highly reputable domains, but you also need to get citations from directories and other, let's say, listings on the internet. So what do I mean by that? That's your NAP. So NAP stands for name, address, phone. Essentially, you just want to make sure that many listings and directories on the internet, on Google, they're reflecting those same details so that Google can verify that, yes, you are real. You're not just some fake thing that's popped up out of nowhere. You're an actual business. And, there's many different sources to verify that you exist. So if you can get your NAP and your citations sorted out across the board, that will speed up the trust process. And then if you can get domain rating 50 plus backlinks to point to you, that will accelerate that even more. So essentially, we're just trying to gain that trust and become trusted. Now, when you get trust, your next target will become the authority phase. So let's say people trust you, they accept you in the new environment that you've rocked up. But then how do you become the one that everyone goes to? How do you become the point where all the traffic wants to go to? That's what's called the authority phase. So this is where you ultimately want to be. Now, how do you define the authority phase? There's a very specific way to define it. Essentially, when you upload a new piece of content on Google, you will find that if you're an authority, within a week or two, it will appear straight away on page 1 somewhere within the top 10. That is a very clear sign that Google has now ranked you as an authority for this topic, for this niche. So that's the point that you want to reach with your trajectory for your SEO. Now, what's the benefits of getting that authority levels? Well, like I mentioned before, you start to acquire more of those top 3 positions. It's all well and good being at the bottom of page 1 on Google. If you're in position 9, 10, and so on, it means that you have the trust. However, if you gain in the top 3, you could be facing 7 to 10 times the results, even sometimes up to 15 times. It can be quite a big jump. So, capturing those positions is extremely lucrative, especially if you have a competitive niche. And even we've seen situations where there's been niches that were extremely competitive in the Google ads, so it had a really high cost per click to appear there. But the people that have put in the work, they've reached authority for that keyword, they're essentially reaping in all these clicks and all this traffic for no extra cost. So it works out to be incredible leverage when you get to that point. Now, how do we achieve this? What's the fast track to achieve this in 2024 right now? First step is we need to perform a gap analysis of those top 3 competitors. We need to understand, why is Google rewarding these top 3 guys for this particular niche? They're being rewarded for a reason. We need to find out what that is, and then we need to make sure we are rewarded for the exact same reason. So this is where we're going to go to our live demo, but we'll have a look through each one of these. Essentially, what you want to find in your gap analysis between you and the top 3 is, firstly, what is the content infrastructure? What pages do they have? Like what pages do they all share, or what pages do they have which make them even more valuable and authoritative in Google's eyes? Secondly, we want to find out what's the content plan or topical map, meaning what topics are they covering? What questions are they answering? How far does their topical map stretch, and how well are they delivering the people who are doing the searches with the keywords? How well are they delivering the intent? Alexis talked about the intent of the keywords before. If Google has a very good understanding of intents behind keywords, and has a very good way of analyzing what you're providing to that intent, and then seeing how well you actually match that intent. So really, if we can help Google serve up better content for the keyword intents, then Google rewards us with those top 3 positions. It's a win-win. So that's what we're trying to achieve. Third thing we'll look at is FAQs and SERPs. So I'll go into that a bit deeper when we reach that. SEO assets and backlinks. Now we'll go to do this live demo. So Alexi, you want to do the smoke alarms installation demo?
Sure, let's go for that.
Yeah. So we can do a live demo, show you what we would do for a particular niche. So in this case, let's take a look at smoke alarm installations, Brisbane.
Obviously, niche enough keyword that we chose. Yep.
Yeah. So first of all with sponsor stuff, obviously that's Google Ads. Let's go beyond all that. We want to reach down here. Now, top 3 guys that I can see here, we've got Dawson Electric. So it looks like these guys are general electricians. You have smokealarmsolutions.com.au, and you have smokealarmservices.com.au. Further down, you got Queensland Smoke Alarms. Sometimes the top 3, you might get like an outlier, so you can look at the next one in the top 4. But for this purpose, let's just check out all 3 of these guys. So first thing we'll be looking at, as I mentioned before, is the content infrastructure. So what we need to do is we need to quickly find out what pages do these guys have that we don't. Now, there's a few ways to do this, and there's a few ways to save time doing this. So the manual way to do it is you can actually literally go through and then just find all the pages they got and create a map yourself. What I like to do is I would like to check if they have a sitemap, first of all. Most websites especially if they're ranking top 3, there will be a sitemap somewhere. So a lot of the time, because a lot of websites are WordPress that you'll find in these searches, you can check for WordPress sitemap straight away, which is this page-sitemap.xml or post-sitemap.xml. So if I try that, yeah, straight away I can see these guys are on WordPress, and then you have the entire sitemap right here. So already we've pretty much scraped these guys' list of pages. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to capture this into a spreadsheet that I've prepared here, and then we'll do it one by one with all of these guys. Now, if we go to the next one, let's say smoke alarm solutions. You sort of want to go through, and there we go. Again, another XML sitemap with WordPress. So easy, copy and paste. And what you'll find is that some of these may repeat. Like for example, straight away, I can see, we got things like privacy policy. We got things like home sellers, and then similarly here, you'll find similar sort of pages, privacy policy. So you will start to see patterns. You'll see patterns where there's the same pages recurring in the top results, but then you'll also see individual, unique pages to certain competitors. What we're trying to do is we're trying to take the entire collection of the top 3. And then if we go to these guys, smoke alarm solutions, we'll try the same approach with them. Page sitemap.xml. There you go. Also WordPress. So these guys have less pages, but we want to make sure we capture those as well. Now, there's a few other tools you can use. For example, sometimes you might encounter a website like this one, where I believe this one is not actually WordPress. So if I try to go page sitemap.xml, it should give me an error. Yeah, that's right. So if you find this happens, then what I recommend, there's a Chrome extension called Link Grabber. So it looks like this. Very simple. You click on it, and what it does, this will scan your currently open page, and it will take all of the links on that page, and you can just simply copy the entire thing and paste it into your spreadsheet here. Now, with this one, just bear in mind, this won't scan the entire sitemap. This will just scan the page that you've got opened. So, a lot of the times websites will have all of the links in the navigation, but often you'll find links that are located only as internal links within specific pages. So just bear that in mind. And then once you've gathered all of this, what you want to start doing is going through and vetting, deleting, firstly, anything that you have already in your website. So I know, for example, that our, one of our websites that we talk about is scsmokealarms.com.au. So if I was to do it for ourselves, I can go to our own sitemap, copy that, put it down the side here, and then this gives me a good sort of view. I can start going through and deleting. Okay, well, homepage doesn't matter. Contact we've already got, FAQs we've already got. So anything that you already have, delete it from the competitor sites. And then what you'll end up with is a list of competitor pages for you to go and create. So that is the first step.
So I guess just to summarize, the logic here is we sort of trying to understand what the content on the websites that are already ranking, and wanting to sort of bring that across to our website. And I guess what Max has also said is, it's just important to understand overall what's overlapping, so we don't sort of double up on something like that. But also one thing that I think that's worth noting here is that the competitors that are coming up, the first one is an electrician. So they've actually got general electrical services as well as smoke alarms, while the other 3 are actually niche specific businesses on smoke alarms. So I think it's very important to know that. And I can assure you that it's much harder for a generic smoke alarm business to rank against these guys. And obviously it takes a fair bit of time, and it's obviously an expensive exercise as well.
That's right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And that is exactly why, after we've created the sitemap, you do need to go through and need to vet these pages. You need to make sure that are these pages actually relevant to us. So, for us, for example, with the smoke alarms here, obviously we don't want anything to do with electrical. So we're not electricians, so we are not going to include those pages. However, anything to do with smoke alarms, we will keep. So, we can see industrial electrical, we can see testimonials, electrician Mansfield, all this kind of stuff. So anything electrician, we don't want. However, if I'm looking to some of these other competitors here, for example, Smoke Alarm Solutions, they've got these interesting pages like Agents-QLD. So, if I go to this agents-qld, what am I likely to see? Queensland's #1 smoke alarm compliance for real estate, compliance partner for real estate agents. So straight away, I know, okay, these guys are targeting a specific target market with this page. We would benefit from having a page exactly like this. So this is how you do it. You can see what's the competitors doing that are being rewarded on Google as the authority. Can we do the same? And then can we do it better? So next thing we want to look at is the content plan or topical map. So yeah, obviously we've looked at the content infrastructure of the website, but then we want to look at what's their regular content, as in like the blogs, the articles, the stuff they're putting out regularly, the news, anything like that. So very similarly, we can look at sitemaps, except instead of the page sitemap, this will be what's called the post sitemap. That would be the first place I would look. And second place you can look is the actual blog link itself. So let me go and look at the post sitemap like this. So there you go. Very similarly, you have the entire list of all of the content they've covered. Now, we want to capture this information, and I will just rename this one to pages and then this to posts, so we have nice clear distinction. And we'll do the same for the others. So smoke alarm solutions, I know that they're WordPress, so you can just go post-sitemap.xml. Similar kind of deal. And obviously these guys are going to be more relevant to us because they are an actual smoke alarm niche business, which is what we're talking about. You can see when you're not niche, a lot of stuff is not going to apply to you. You're not going to be able to hit that target harder. So, which is what we want to do. So yeah, these are looking quite good. And then if we go to these guys, smoke alarm services, they'll have the same sort of thing. Okay, no blogs for these guys, so great. Sometimes they might have blogs under a different system, but you can see these guys haven't even done their regular content, so fair enough. Anyway, we've captured the content infrastructure. We've captured the content plan. Next is we need to capture the frequently asked questions in SERPs. Now, what are SERPs, you might ask? Well, first of all, SERPs is these FAQs under the people also ask section of the Google. So what you want to do, you put your main keyword in, and then you want to actually start clicking on these one by one, and it'll expand and give you more. So keep clicking them and keep expanding them out until they start to become irrelevant. You'll notice that, after a while, it's going to start asking things about like fire stations and all sorts of stuff. So, you want to capture everything that's relevant up to that point. Now, why do you want to do this? Well, as you can see, if you're an authority, then Google will give you this SERP. They will give you this result. So an authority means that you are appearing for a lot of these FAQs that people ask. So you can see a lot of these being answered by different companies. There's one of the competitors, Queensland Fire and Emergency Services. This is another electrical company, Hoffman Electrical. So you can see these are all different sources. You want to answer all these questions, do it better than all of them. So let's copy all of these, and we want to make sure that we're going to answer them ourselves. And you can see a lot of these are really good. How long do batteries last? Can I install a smoke detector above a bedroom door? This is actual real questions that people are asking. So here we'll put SERPs. And then we want to capture frequently asked questions of the competitors. So going back to the competitor websites, there's two places you can look. Typically, they may have a FAQ page themselves. However, if it's a smoke alarm, if it's an electrician business like this one, where it's a bit more general, generally they'll put the actual FAQs on the service page itself. So you can see that's exactly what these guys have done. So these are the #1 rankers, and they're answering these 4 FAQs. So we want to capture those exact same FAQs for ourselves. So put FAQs. So we'll copy the font, but that's fine. We can clean it up later. And similarly here, somewhere here, hopefully there is some kind of FAQ that we can find. And by the way, you can always check the sitemap that we just looked at. That might have an FAQ for you. So there we go. Just from this, I've identified they have FAQs for landlords, they have FAQs for home sellers, FAQs for owner occupiers, and then agents and tenants. So already we have 5 sets of different FAQs just from doing that search of the competitor sitemap. And guess what? We're going to take all of it. We're going to take all of it, copy it. Now I understand this one's talking about Victoria. So again, do your quality control and due diligence after you've taken and scraped all this. You got to make sure that's relevant and you're answering questions relevant to your state, your business. Please double check this when you go to copy it. So there you go. Another similar thing. We have the homeowners and so on and so forth. So you can see for this process, we've already found so much content, so much information, so many authority points that we can include on our website just by doing this quick exercise.
So while Max is doing this, I just wanted to emphasize on the fact that Google is all about content. Now, essentially, the idea behind creating content based on FAQs is about relating to the search terms that people are searching for. And Max is basically finding all the popular keywords as well as phrases that people are specifically asking, and really is creating a content plan for the website where we can actually come up as one website that has all this content specific to a particular niche. And I think that's super powerful. So we are deconstructing the top 3-4 players, and based on what they have as well as what Google is giving us, we are creating exactly what the users want. So think about it from the perspective of, hey, what do your users actually want to see? And a lot of the time, this is where businesses struggle. Like a lot of people, being in obviously web development as one of the main avenues of our business, we find that content is by far the hardest thing that business owners often, are able to work on. And clearly, you can see that a lot of the websites that are ranking have spent the time or have engaged somebody to help them build all the stuff up and research it. So just take a note that this stuff is what's actually working, and Max is actually deconstructing it for you. And you'd be quite surprised to see what's coming up next.
Awesome. Yeah, 100%. The content is so important. I do like to make the emphasis on that. So and you can see why. We can see exactly why Google is rewarding the top 3 guys, and we can see exactly the content they've got and the assets they use. Cool. So SEO assets, that's the next thing. Now, what is an SEO asset? When you're looking at an SEO asset outside of all this text and content that we've just covered, it's all the things like images, videos, PDFs, guides, all of those kind of really valuable bits of content that are not necessarily text. So I'm sure even websites that you have visited yourself or websites that you follow yourself, you would have seen they have videos, they have images, they have articles, they might have PDFs. You might even put in your name and email to receive like a PDF or a course or something like that. All of these are assets. So we want to find out, what do the top 3 guys, what kind of assets do they offer on their websites? So for example, if I go to Smoke Alarm Solutions, and we just scroll down, we'll have a look, what do they have? So straight away, I can see they've got a video here. So I already know we need a video on our website. They've got these associations and Master Electricians Australia, proud partner of REQ. So any kind of partnerships, associations, we need to list them there, any badges. And also star ratings. So you can see these guys have actually included the Google reviews star ratings, 3,024 reviews. That's amazing. But yeah, you can see they've included that front and center. You land on the site straight away. You've got the reviews, you've got the partnerships, you've got the video. Going down, you're going to find, how can we help you? So, they've really divided up. They've got 5 client pathways, and they've divided it into states. So you can really see these guys, they've really gone all out, covering 4 different states with 5 different target markets, and giving them maximum value. Down here, I can see they've got free legislation guides. So this is interesting. So, they didn't have to do this, but obviously they did. So they've created pages for the different states, legislation guides. And not only that, but they give you different guides depending on who you are. If you're a property manager, they provided legislation for you here. If you're a home seller or owner occupier, you have your information here. So how valuable is this? You can see why these guys are being rewarded. They're just giving such immense amount of value, and Google has recognized that, therefore it's placed them into that authority spot. They are reaping all the rewards because of it. Now, why this is good for us is because we know exactly now what Google loves for this niche. We know exactly that for this niche, Google loves, check it out, legislation. So straight away, if we don't have legislation, we shouldn't be competing for the top three, essentially. So that's the way I would look at it. Whatever the top three guys have, especially if you're seeing it repeat, then that's when you know this stuff is important for the top three. You know, scrolling down, there you go, another video. So there's another thing we've noticed. Photos again. So, and you look at these photos, they're not stock photos, they're actual real photos of the business. You can see the actual car there. So that means these photos are geotagged. It means that Google can see that these guys have actual real photos. It's not stock images, it's real photos. They got a real video. These are real people. You know, all of this stuff, it adds to the value and the authority. And likewise, yeah, they've got legislation just like the other guys. So, you know, obviously Google loves it if the smoke alarm authority provides information about legislation. So, you know, we know that very clearly from here. So, yeah, similar kind of deal. You know, if I'm looking at these Queensland smoke alarm guys, or Queensland Fire Services, owner-occupier, tenants, selling, landlords, property managers, they've done the exact same thing. They've created the 5 customer pathways. They've provided them valuable content. You know, there's your reviews again, there's your video. So I hope you guys are starting to see the patterns. You know, this will give you a very clear picture of what the top 3 requires and what Google loves. You know, there's your partners and suppliers. So it's all the same stuff. But this will vary niche to niche. This is why this process is important. You need to be able to deconstruct any kind of niche and find out what does that niche require, because it's going to vary niche to niche. Cool. And finally, I do want to talk about backlinks. So we've covered all these on-page elements. We've covered the structural elements of the website itself. Then we want to find out what kind of backlinks are these top 3 guys getting? Like what are these top 3 competitors? What kind of social proof do they have on the search engines, as we talked about before? So a good, easy tool to use is a Ahrefs backlink checker. And keep in mind that, you know, you're not necessarily after the same backlinks. If you can get the same backlinks, then awesome. But you're more after the general vibe, like the general gist. What kind of backlinks are they getting? What kind of domain ratings? What sites are those? You know, what are these sites about? If we can get similar ones, then you will get similar rewards. Now, when you do a search for here, let's try it again. So there we go. Okay, so straight away I can see even these guys level. So they have about 1.7K backlinks coming from 143 different websites. So, you know, this ratio is important. The domain rating is important. So, yeah, you can see that to be in the top 3 in this niche, you know, domain rating 37 is one of the targets you need. You'll check the other top 3 results, and then from that you'll be able to determine an average of what does the top 3 require. But yeah, from here you can see there's your DR. So anything that's DR 50 in particular, you should be paying extra attention to. I mean, sometimes the backlinks for a particular niche may not be that high in terms of rating. Maybe you'll get like backlinks that are between 30 and 50. That's fine. Whatever is the top range for that niche, that's what you're after. And, you know, checking out some of these backlinks, you can even click on them and check them out and see what are they actually, who are these links? So maybe not the number 3 one, but propertyme.com.au. What's this other one? Technomancy.com.au. So the ones with low ratings, I wouldn't worry too much about, but you know, Crunchbase. So, and again, you're going to need to do your due diligence to make sure these are legit. Obviously, you know, we have negative SEO that exists and toxic backlinks, but overall, you're after like what are the actual like what kind of social proof is required for Google to put you into that top 3. You know, so I can see here, property for managers is some kind of you know, some kind of property management software. Okay, cool. So property management software website. Power Apps, so another software website. Crunchbase, so this is more of a business directory. Property chat, so this is a forum about property. So, you know, you start to get a bit of a picture of what kind of backlinks we're after and then what kind of domain ratings. So based off all that information, we'll get a map of essentially, you know, that completes our gap analysis. What's the difference between us and then the guys in the top 3 in the race? Then once you've created that map, the name of the game becomes do it better than they do it. So how do we do it better? There's a few ways to approach this. Obviously, with SEO, you have your content, you have your on-page optimization, you have your off-page optimization, and you have your technical SEO. So there are quite a few moving parts, but for each one, you can focus on a specific tactic that I will share with you today that will make a huge impact to that particular area. First one is the content. So with the content, now, if you remember, we've collected all of the posts from the competitors, so we actually know what their content is. And in fact, what you can do is you can take this content, and then out of that, we can put it through a prompt, which will actually turn it into an even better content plan than they have done. So how you do that, and this is a cool little secret, you improve the level of your sales for your content by putting into these 6 stages of the sales cycle. So essentially, this is another version of that marketing funnel that we were looking at earlier. Most people, if they have the pain, they know they have the pain, but you might not have covered all the content in between these. For example, latent pain is one that most SEOs typically miss. They focus a lot on these middle parts here: best solution, best place to buy, actively seeking solution, acknowledge pain. But latent pain, this one is often one that goes unnoticed. So to give you an example of how that works, let's say we had an example of wedding alterations. So there's a wedding alterations business where obviously the service is to do wedding dress alterations for brides that are going to get married. Now, what would be a latent pain for something like that? A good example is wedding photos. So it's a pain that they didn't even know they had. If they're having a wedding, it's going to be a special memory. And so what is the pain there? The pain is that they might have some really bad wedding photos, so that when they look back in the future, they feel embarrassed about the wedding photos, or they don't like them, or something like that. So that is an example of a latent pain, a bit of content that we can plug into what we do, and then that gives us an extra level above the competitors.
So just something to add. Sorry, Max, just something to add, because I think this is super, super important. We are basically tapping into psychological triggers that basically make up the content that map the actual marketing funnel. Now, what that basically means is that a lot of the time people jump into the consideration phase, which is where a lot of the keywords are based specifically on action. But there's actually a lot of research that's done behind the scenes, and this is where we could potentially utilize that and identify these pain points. Pain points obviously being the problems or something that people are researching or trying to solve before obviously engaging a particular business. And this is where we actually are able to come through and generate trust based on the content. So I just wanted to make that super clear.
Awesome. That's a really good point, Alexi. Thanks for that. So yeah, so we do actually have a prompt that can do this really quickly for you with AI, and I can give you a demo of how this works as a quick example. So obviously we like to use I like to use ChatGPT for myself, but I also use a bit of Gemini, Claude. So we do have a few different AIs we like to play around with. I will show you the example with Gemini, since that's a nice easy one. Anyone can use it if you've got a Google account. So literally, you can even just take what these guys have done, copy their content plan, and then we add it to a prompt that we've created here, and then you'll see the output.
That's amazing. And I guess for those of you who are fairly new to AI, a script is really an idea. So how do you train the AI and put it in the right channel in order to help you get a much more refined result? Because if you're just going to basically take information straight out of Google and ask it to do something for you, a lot of the time it doesn't understand it. So the script is really what bypasses all that and really gets you that final outcome.
That's right. That's right. And you can see exactly what we just talked about here. So, an acknowledged pain here for people might be their smoke alarm's not working, but the latent pain is like whatever fire hazards in your house, like that's an entirely different content topic. Or whatever hidden dangers in your house, that could be an even bigger latent pain. So you can see that taps into a whole other set of prospects that you might not have even reached in the first place. But having said that, we derived this purely from our competitor research. So I didn't actually go in. I didn't even specify any of our own content. I've literally just looked at whatever competitors have that they're already ranking for, And now we've generated a 6-stage content plan, which covers exactly like Alexi said, the whole funnel going from the top down to the bottom, you know? So again, you know, you got to make sure that this is relevant, but you can repeat this for many different pathways. For example, I can specify, you know, we saw those other competitors that had the tenants, owner occupiers, agents, you know, property managers. I can tailor this content plan to any one of those. So each one of those can have different messaging and a different, you know, they might have different latent pains associated, all leading to the same conversion. So this is the power of this stuff. You can really start to tap into areas that your competitors haven't even considered. So that's the beauty of this. So that's how you beat them on the content. Next, how do you beat them with on-page optimization? So, you know, again, we don't want to cover SEO basics. We just want to cover the most powerful techniques that you can apply right now. So I'm going to share 2 tricks with you. The first one is extremely simple, but I am shocked consistently how many SEOs miss this. Essentially, the first trick is to align your page title, your H1, your meta title, and then your URL slug with your primary keyword. I've lost number of count how many times I've seen sites that have not done this. They might have 3 of those aligned, or 2 of those aligned, or just 1, and on the others might be all different. Now, if you realize these are some of the main places that Google goes to look, where it decides what is this page. So when Google crawls your website, it's a robot. It's a robot going through your website. So we want to make it easy for the robot to basically understand your website, essentially, like to interpret it, comprehend it. And this is what it does. So you're telling Google in all of the most obvious places, main keyword, boom, and this is what this page is. There is no mistaking. So, you know, even if we just vet one of our competitors, let's see if they're actually doing this. So, all right, number 1, we have smoke alarm installations Brisbane. What do we search? Smoke alarm installation Brisbane. Okay, good. It's in the meta title. Now we're checking in the page title. So is this the actual page? Yes. We're checking in the URL slug, smoke alarm installation Brisbane. So you see, these guys have got it all there. And then we can also use so this plugin is called Detailed SEO Extension. It's a nice, easy one. You can check the metas. You can also check the headings. So check it out, your H1. These guys have it perfectly aligned, and they're ranking number 1, even though they're an electrician. You know, so if I look at, let's say, smokealarmsolutions.com.au, so not quite the same. I mean, homepage, fair enough, but like if they actually had a page called Smoke Alarm Installations Brisbane, that they could potentially outrank those guys. So you can see, even look at the top 3 guys, we can poke holes in what they're doing based off this principle. So there's always going to be opportunities where you're going to find things that even the top guys are doing that you could possibly do better. And then the next trick I wanted to share with you is this TF-IDF analysis. So TF-IDF, long story short, it's the words on your content, or like in your page. It's the actual words one by one. So there's a few different tools that help you do an analysis of this. But one of the favorite ones for me is this SEO Ability free tool. I've included the link. So this is what it looks like. You get 3 checks a day. I mean, I've already used one earlier today, but let's check it out. So if I'm doing, for example, what are we doing? Smoke alarm installation Brisbane. So there we go. This is my previous search. I can even put my website in there if I want to compare an existing bit of content, but let's just ignore that for now. And the country that I'm looking at is Australia, obviously. So google.com.au. You put in your keyword, click on this TF-IDF analysis check. Oh, okay, it's asking me to do it again. And then when this loads, what you'll get is an entire table, which gives you extremely precise data on what words need to be in your content and also how many times they need to appear. So check this out. This is really cool. So for that keyword, so it shows you, okay, here's the top 10 results. Then you can see the word count. You can see the page speed. So this, this take 1.5 seconds to load. This took 2.5 seconds, 3.5. So I can already see if you want to be in the top 3, we can't be any longer than 3.5 seconds. And then here we have our words and keywords. So, I mean, you've got this visual here, smoke, alarm, alarms, services, Brisbane, and then the frequency. Now, I like to go to this table of values here. So here you will actually see all of the words that we need to use on our page that we're trying to rank. And then out of all these categories, the one that we're interested in is we're interested in this average TF-IDF. So what this does, this looks at the top 10 rankers, and then it looks at, on average, these top 10 ranking pages, how many times is that specific word used? And then this average will create an average of that amount. So, you want to aim for this average amount here. And then the other interesting part is this frequency bit. So the frequency tells you, out of the results that appear on page one, how many of those results actually use this. So you can see 9 out of 10, for example, results on page one use the word Brisbane. Obviously, we're targeting Brisbane location. That makes sense. 10 out of 10 use smoke. If you're selling smoke alarms, you don't have the word smoke. Like, that makes zero sense. So of course that's obvious. But then when you scroll down to some of the bottom ones, then you start to get some of the more niche ones. For example, down here we have like the word Northern, Keep, Main, Assistance, Mudge River. This is a suburb on the Gold Coast. So you might ask, how is this relevant? Well, we as humans, we might not have the full answer to this, but we have data. That's the beauty of this. This is all data driven. So I know that now when I'm going to produce this content, optimize my content, I want to capture this average amount for all of these keywords. I want to make sure that I'm using these words the exact amount of times that is specified on this average column here. And now one more cool trick with this is you can actually, they have this cool text editor here you can use. So you can plug in a piece of content, and then it'll give you a bit of a guideline. It's not 100% perfect, but it's a really good place to start. For example, if we take one of our websites, so that's scsmokealarms.com.au. I can go Control A, Control C, Control V, so copy and paste the whole page. And then we paste that content in here. Click refresh analysis. There you go. So straight away we have a very basic, recommendations. We're saying it'll tell you which words to use more, which words to use less. So thankfully nothing less for us here. And then which words you have perfectly optimized, like don't add or remove. So for example, if the word alarms with an S, that's perfectly optimized. So we don't want to use any more of that. But the word alarm, battery, call, contact, you can create content and whole paragraphs and whole sections just based off these information. So this is how you beat the competitors in top 3 in the content. I hope that makes sense. Now, expired domains. So expired domains, of course, this is another tactic that you can use to boost up your content. So, but this is again also tapping into trust that's based on age. Did you want to comment on this one, Alexi?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I've added this slide because I think, going through everything that you've gone over, and hopefully with our listeners understanding that if you understand a niche and niche is a strategy, you will get rankings much better. So a lot of those businesses are specific to a niche. So obviously smoke alarms as a business is quite niche, but it can be done by electricians as well. So I thought to plug in expired domains, and I've actually got a bit of a slide here, so I'm happy to sort of contribute. But I guess what I wanted to recap from what you've described so far is that, we have tapped into a strategy that works right now in order to deconstruct the content of our competitors in order to be able to rank your business. And I guess one of the things that you most likely will get, even if you're just starting out, but if you got everything aligned properly, is you're actually going to get better Google My Business rankings, because that doesn't rely so much on your domain age, and it's all really to do with your local listings and more NAP as opposed to anything else. So while that particular website is work in progress, and we'll definitely apply all the tips that Max has implemented, I reckon Google My Business is one of those quick wins as well. Now, we'll have other training sessions on things like basic SEO, because as you saw previously, and Max, maybe you want to go back to that result, the page speed is one of the key components. I think that really, really stood out for me within that tool that you were using. I think it was the IDF site. Yeah. And, also things like word count as well. So you can see those sort of things. You can see number of backlinks as well. Now, that's SEO basics. We'll definitely do another section. Google My Business, huge other topic. Look, the whole idea behind this series is to come up with a series of training sessions to help us address these bits and bobs. I think, a lot of the stuff does change, but fundamentally as a concept in terms of keywords and how people search, works really, really well. And what I also like about these questions that Max have identified earlier before is one of the fundamentals behind the questions is that the whole voice commands is really quite a trend right now. So a lot of the time when people are asking questions such as these ones that Max has got on the screen, people are actually likely to ask the Google Assistant or the Alexa or whatever tool they're using too. And this is where everything really aligns. And you have to really understand the future of content as well. So images, videos, content, in terms of text and stuff is all great, but it's really more about understanding what is it your competitors have and what extra can you actually add to the whole thing as well. So I just wanted to make that super clear. Cool, Max, that's awesome. Well, if you don't mind, I will take over and have a chat about the expired domains, because you have covered this strategy really, really well, and we'll sort of come back to it with a bit of a summary. So if you wouldn't mind, I will take over the screen. Okay. So I have got so yeah, let's talk about expired domains. Now, expired domains is one of those tips that I wanted to provide. And look, initially I wanted to do a number of tips, but I find that we cram so much into these training sessions that some people may become overwhelmed, whilst others obviously want to learn more. But I think just to complement the whole niche marketing and the strategy that Max has described today, I think expired domains is really one of those really cool avenues. So first of all, it's a tool that you can use to find niche-based domains. A lot of the domains have got actually a lot of age, so you can actually bypass those sandbox stages when it comes to a domain. However, your website obviously needs to be developed, but I'll show you a little trick as to where you could actually find a few things to help you jump a couple of hoops. Doesn't work every single time, but I think it's still worth showing it. A lot of the domain names have got backlinks as well, so you can actually Google up domains with backlinks. Reputation is, I guess, the one thing you really want to check. Last thing you want to do is register a domain name that's been burned somewhere. And you could also sometimes find actual businesses in expired domains that have, not been active anymore, but there's actually a whole presence behind it as well. A while ago, I've been able to find a whole painting business that the business owner has abandoned, but it actually had Google reviews, it's actually had reputation, and essentially you can find the old website content and tailor it specifically to your business and pick that up as well. How awesome would something like that be? So let's, I guess, have a look at it. So first of all, this is the website. Expired domains, you will need to log in order to get to this point and obviously be able to use all the features. What I want to do in our case is to look for domains that are Australian. So we're looking for .au domains. And then once that loads up, we basically want to be able to search specifically. But you can see straight away that it actually shows you a bunch of domain names that are either deleted or expired or dropped. And sometimes you can really pick up something that's actually been abandoned quite recently. Now, this ABY is really the age of the domain. And sometimes you can pick something up that's been registered a long time ago. Now, just looking at this in digital marketing for me really is quite tempting to keep securing domain names, but it's obviously one of those strategies that it requires time and a proper strategy. So I do meet a lot of people that do just buy domain names for the sake of these domain names. But look at that, like these domain names got a very good age, and overall it does have backlinks to that domain name as well. Now, in our case, if we are searching for something specific, we want to obviously find something that's keyword specific. So let's say if we're going to go for smoke alarms, and obviously you can have all sorts of variants in here, that will actually give us domain names based around that. So look at that. There's actually smoke alarms installations goldcoast.com.au. So you could actually pick up that domain name and have a further look into something like that. Now, what you could do with that is you could potentially jump into a tool called Wayback Time Machine. And look, one of the domain names I found was Smoke Alarms Genie. I was doing a different search before, so it felt like it was an abandoned domain. And if you plug this into the Wayback Time Machine, you can Google this up. It actually shows you an index of this particular website history as it stood. So you can actually find snapshots of this website in that particular day. So November the 3rd, 2022, you can actually go and have a look at that website through the caching. It doesn't work all the time, but most of the time it does. And then from there, you're able to potentially take some of that content as well and overlap with what Max has been showing. So rather than sort of trying to do SEO from get-go, you can actually jump the gun and actually piggyback off something else. And look, this is one of the strategies I like. And a lot of the time people want to go and get obviously leads from their website, and they have their own main website, and they obviously try to do everything with it. I get it, but if it's about speed and it's about the right outcome, I definitely recommend fragmenting the actual keywords and coming up with multiple websites in order to dominate Google in many different ways. It is a strategy. And obviously, every single business needs to consider their own, but it is much more difficult to rank one website for everything. And just like we saw in that example, I mean, I guarantee you that Dawson Electric has spent a lot of energy trying to rank for those keywords as opposed to the other ones as well. So it's just about effort and time, in my opinion, as well. But yeah, expired domain, Max. Have you got any comments on that? Is there something that you'd like to add to it?
Yeah, well, I guess it helps if obviously you appear, like an expired domain basically means you have another property that is at your disposal. So how you use that property, you can use all of this stuff we just showed you.
Yeah.
One of the tactics that you can do is let's say instead of upgrading your existing website, you want to enter a niche of a brand new one. Expired domain would be a perfect way to do this. You do one of these gap analyses, and then from that you find out straight away what does that expired domain website need to look like. Combine that with the Wayback Machine data that Alexi mentioned, and straight away you have like an entire successful website specification ready to go for SEO.
Yeah, and I guess the tip here is that naturally the backlinks that you're going to get to this website will have that those keywords within the domain name, and that's the tip. Because if we're going to go for smoke alarm installations Gold Coast, that's obviously niche enough. And if we're going to do all the backlinking or press releases or whatever, that will link back with those specific keywords, which is why it's so powerful. And if you're going to have the unique NAP, name, address, and phone number for that business, that will actually propel it further. One of the mistakes I see is businesses are trying to use the same phone number for everything. If they do niche sites, they basically expect them to work. A better way to do this would be to actually grab a virtual phone number and do a redirect to the main number, but have that phone number allocated specifically to that new entity as well. But anyway, that's expired domains for you. I think that's a huge tip within itself. And please use it with care. Now, this pretty much brings us to the end of our training session today. Hopefully you've learned a lot, and I know Max can probably cram in a few extra things as well. There's obviously your scripts, there's AI tools and everything. I would much rather try to summarize today's presentation to make sure that you guys have got a solid takeaway. But then from there, if there's anything else you like, I'll share some contact information where you can reach out, or potentially, if you like, we'd be happy to share the script with you based on requests as well. How does that sound, Max? Are you happy to do that?
Sounds absolutely
good. Cool. So I guess today we spoke about the niche strategy as to why it is important to find that niche initially, and how to use that as the actual fundamental concept of positioning your business. We spoke about various stages of SEO in terms of being in a sandbox, generating that trust and becoming that authority. We spoke about backlinks as a concept that does generate that trust over time. And I think the best way to explain that is, essentially when someone becomes a doctor, typically they get referred they get referred work by other doctors as well, which really makes them an authority in a particular niche. Same thing happens with a lot of academics as well. People sort of vouch for one another. And a lot of the time for someone to do their PhD, for example, they have to publish certain publications in order to validate their name. So Google works in a very similar way. That's how backlinks typically work. We've gone through a process of using competitor insights as guidance. We've obviously touched on content, because I think content is probably 60 to 80% of ranking in most of the cases. However, the recipe is obviously far more complicated. You've got your website optimization, and we'll probably cover that within a website training session at some point. There is your speed overall, which obviously factors in a bunch of things like your hosting provider, as well as the website structure, as well as the contents of your website. And then obviously, we spoke about things like understanding exactly what makes up the content map and the pages that the websites run as well. We went over, a couple of tools, and specifically Gemini in our case, to generate AI content. And really, you have to do your due diligence before you use that stuff on the website, because if you do this in a very sloppy way by just copying and pasting, you will end up with a lot of irrelevant stuff. And as you saw in that Gemini script, Max has utilized competitors' information, but it has copied their name as well. So you'll have to obviously go and use a lot of Control H to replace some of those bits and bobs according to your name as well. So really, it's it takes a little bit of time, but at least here you have a very clear roadmap as to what it is that you need to do in order to start ranking. Because I find the biggest problem is people jump into the how do I do it? And then they miss out the whole, recipe. What is it that we're actually doing? And what are we trying to achieve here? Now, here we are basically trying to achieve SEO rankings across various stages of the funnel by addressing the pain points of potential customers when they do their research, when they basically start to consider something, and all the way down to conversion step where people are looking for best solutions or something that's available to them locally or right now. We've obviously gone over a few tools. Max can probably share half a dozen of other tools as well, but this could be a topic for another presentation as well. And we're going over some tips specifically in relation to expired domains. There's plenty of different things. And look, if you're finding that some of this work is way too hard for you, or it's not the right sort of you don't have the right sort of skill set in order to do it, I recommend reaching out to platforms like Fiverr. Fiverr is a good way to get outsource contacts in order to deliver certain work. You obviously got to do your due diligence, but if you understand exactly what it is that you want from them, you're able to put together a very good set of specifications in order for them to come back to you more specifically. So we like to utilize resources and people who specialize in various things. But I do realize that a lot of you who are watching this video may be finding that some things are just a little bit too challenging. You can get someone to help you with, image creation, video creation, and a bunch of other things in order to complement your unique asset list for your website or business altogether. So, questions. We had a few questions sent to us prior to this training session, and I wanted to go over them with you, Max, if you don't mind. So here are the questions that we received, and let's go through them one by one. So first one is, so how long does SEO typically take?
Yeah, extremely common question. So that depends on where you are in the 3 stages. Are you in sandbox? Are you trust? Almost authority, or have you reached authority already? So that is the first thing I would determine. You need to determine where you are on that roadmap. Secondly, is the niche doesn't matter. I mean, this is the reality of it. You can apply the same level of effort to 2 different niches, and then your speed of results will be much faster in one niche than in another, which is to be expected. If the competition is really strong in one niche, that means you've got to be really strong. That means you've got to really match that level of SEO juice. So yeah, I mean, as a general guideline, let's say if it's average level competition, average level niche, 3 to 6 months generally is what it would take for a sandbox to reach trustworthy stage, and then 3 to 6 months to go to authority. But again, this depends on a number of factors. If the niche is less competitive, and if you're using something like an H domain that already has trust behind it, you can speed that up quite a bit. So, but keep that in mind. Usually we look at SEO in terms of 3-month cycles, and that generally gives you enough time to actually see movements happen and all of your efforts kick in and then flourish. But having said that, sometimes we see things happen within 2 weeks, so it can vary.
Yeah, I normally tell clients that a good time frame is about 12 weeks, but you do need to understand the plan and also stay on track. One of the key things to ask your SEO agency, if you're using one, is exactly what their process is, because I find way too many agencies either focus on the website too much, the content, or the backlinks, and often they sort of lack expertise in one or the other, or do rely on the business owner to generate their own stuff. So for example, backlinks is one of the things that a lot of agencies are pretty good at, but the content strategy, they put it onto the customers and basically ask them to provide stuff. And look, it's a fair call sometimes, because some businesses are very pedantic about the content. And look, if you're going to use things like ChatGPT, you do need to understand the business first in order to be able to train it as well. Yeah. Next question. Are there some keywords better to rank for than others? So we obviously spoke about intent, Max, but is there anything else to add from your end?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, obviously intent is a good place to start. However, I guess this kind of ties into this next question here. if you know that some keywords in particular actually end up converting better, so if you have data to back that up, then obviously it's better to start optimizing for those keywords from day dot. So essentially, this is where something like where PPC or Google Ads can, or other channels, even in Meta or whatever, if you have data from other marketing that you've done, and you know that these particular keywords, people tend to actually convert on them, then why not start on them from day dot with your SEO? It just means that you're going to get the result a lot quicker, and you're going to essentially be climbing up the right tree. You've got your ladder against the right tree, the right window. So.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, yeah, I think you're spot on there. Having some data certainly works. And look, while SEO is not cheap, it's usually a long-term game, and in the long run, it ends up being a lot more cost efficient than your Google ads most of the time. Obviously, once you get your niches right, once you get your keywords right, but spending a couple of $1,000s on Google ads does provide you with very solid data in terms of what's converting and what competitors are bidding against as well. So you can actually have another dimension of data provided to you prior. So definitely highly recommend taking Google up on one of their offers. Usually they do $500 or $600 free credit, which is typically available from like the second month or so, but that's what they're doing right now. So don't quote me specifically, based on the time when you're going to watch this video. This it may vary, but typically you get a little bit of budget from Google to experiment. So spend that wisely, get your conversion data, and then be able to utilize that within your SEO. Cool. Next question is, should I also do PPC at the same time as my SEO? So we sort of touched on that coming up multiple times on that, first page of Google for multiple keywords or for the same keyword, multiple instances does work very well. But what's your take on that, Max? How do you sort of look at it?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, obviously it's better if you have more marketing than less. So the more marketing means more data. And not only that, but also we can use traffic from other marketing channels. That becomes a ranking signal for your SEO. So, a part of the ranking signals for SEO, it's not just, your setup, it's actually the activity that happens on your website. Like if you have people going to your website, then they're spending time on your website, they're scrolling down, they're reading, they're clicking on things. Those all also count for ranking signals. So we can actually get that kind of ranking signal from other channels. So if you send PPC traffic to an SEO website, that will improve the SEO performance simply because of the activity happening on that page from that traffic. So long story short, yeah, it absolutely adds to it, and yeah, you can utilize it in many different ways. So there's a few different tactics that these things hybridize and combine. We've done things like we've run remarketing PPC campaigns on SEO pages that have gathered a lot of traffic. They've gotten that first point of contact, but then the traffic has gone somewhere. So we're able to re-engage that traffic and have them convert later on down the track. So there's many different ways you can combine them, and I would absolutely recommend, definitely combine your SEO with your other channels. Make sure you've got a unified hybrid approach. You'll get much more. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point. Yeah. If we look at the whole customer journey, what I guess PPC allows us to do is all the remarketing, which is where you can plug into that customer journey and follow them up and show more ads based on the interactions. And then look, I know that sometimes it can be really annoying, but typically, if you got a window of someone making a decision, let's say for a new roof or to buy something, you can really time that for about a week or so and make sure that you follow the person in the right sort of stages and be able to get them over the line. One of the common things I find that works really well is abandoned carts. So, for example, someone goes into an online store, starts their buying process, and then abandons the cart for whatever reason. And typically, look, people often go through the cart in order to actually understand how much shipping costs as well, because the way most carts are actually structured is people want to go through the process and then get that shipping value calculated, and then from that point they're like, oh, I'm going to have a look elsewhere, see what else comes up. So it's really important to have a campaign like that. So if you're solely relying on SEO, you're potentially missing out on the PPC component that will allow you to re-engage that as a conversation. We probably find about 3 to 5% of people will follow the abandoned carts campaign in order to finish their checkout, either through PPC or email or another source as well. It can be quite versatile. Another question is, should I bother with Bing and other search engines, Max? What's your take on that? I mean, we mainly focus on Google, which is obviously the majority of users as to what they prefer. What's your take on things like Bing?
Yeah, good question. So it depends on what angle you're looking at it from. So if you're looking at it from a purely SEO optimization perspective, essentially, if you optimize your SEO for Google, you'll be well optimized for SEO for all other search engines. Like Google is the benchmark upon which all other search engines, design themselves or are built upon. So yeah, if you optimize for Google, you're pretty well optimized for all of the search engines. But having said that, these search engines can be handy when it comes to doing that competitor research, or if you can find additional data, additional questions, additional queries on other search engines that you might not be seeing in the Google results. I've had this happen before. I've you can go to Bing, you can go to DuckDuckGo, you can go to any one of these search engines, and then type in the same keyword. I mean, you might see different questions come up. You might see different resources come up. So if you've already optimized everything from Google and then you want to go that extra level, then absolutely, by all means, check out those other ones for additional, resources. And one other thing I want to mention, with Bing, there is actually a tool, like a nice tool. It's more a Microsoft tool. It's called Microsoft Clarity. So this is actually a free tool that you can get from your Microsoft account. If you type in Microsoft Clarity into Google, this will give you like a free heat map tracking software. So if you can install Clarity onto your pages, then that'd be awesome, because you can actually see what people are doing, like where they're scrolling, where they're reading, where they're clicking, how much time they're spending in certain sections and all that. So that's what I recommend that for.
Yeah, well, heat maps is a completely another topic, but I think it is really important because the next stage is conversion optimization. If you got the best website in the world in terms of content and backlinks, but it doesn't look very good and people are not using the website as you're sort of planning, you will eventually get penalized by Google. So Google is about user experience in the end. And look, they've got various benchmarks as to how to sort of rank you over time. I mean, we have sort of looked at the basic side of things for a service-based business, but yeah, heat maps, conversion rate optimization based on components, attention grabbing tools, and so on is a completely different topic, but I think it's an important one. So yeah, definitely check out Microsoft Clarity. Well, Max, these are the questions that we received so far. Are there any other specific questions that you find that people are maybe not asking that's maybe worth attending, just to maybe squeeze in one more?
Yeah. Well, I suppose the question that I'm also getting a lot is relating to video. A lot of people are concerned about videos. We can see videos becoming more and more important, pretty much with all marketing channels, but especially with SEO, both in the Google Business, so uploading your videos to Google Business profile, and on the website and the blogs and so on. Even in examples we've covered, you can see the videos. However, a lot of people are challenged by video. They feel like, oh no, I don't have a budget for a Hollywood production, so I can't, I may as well not do it. My answer to that is, you don't have a budget for Hollywood production, good, just use your phone. And actually what you can do, even if you record like simple 30 to 60-second videos from the content plan that you generated with that Gemini prompt, and put that onto your website, already that's gonna put you ahead of everyone else that doesn't have that. Reason why I said that, Google favors websites with video over websites without video. That's just the truth. So that's the other thing I would suggest as a trend I'm seeing in this year.
Absolutely. And look, I think YouTube is a very attractive platform right now for a lot of advertisers based on cost, user engagement, audiences, and yeah, you can also do searches based on keywords as well. So, mate, that's a really big tip. And I think if you're able to combine video content with text content on your website, you'll be way ahead of everybody else. Put it this way. Rather than trying to get it perfect, you need to get it good enough. And I think good enough is better than perfect. That's the sort of saying that I hear. Excellent. Well, look, in terms of digital workshop series, there's definitely going to be more workshops coming up on topics like SEO, Google Ads, email marketing, CRMs, web development, social media marketing, and strategy. We're going to be doing a session on free publicity soon as well, because we have had some success and we do want to share our strategy where we have used AI in order to generate press releases and submit them to the right parties in order to actually get featured on national television, which I think really validates the business in a lot of different aspects. And this is what a lot of people are really wanting to do. The idea behind these digital workshops is to really bring you practical insights as to what it is that you can actually implement to get real results right now. So modern information, things that are up to date. We're not really following any gray hat techniques. It's all white hat, and it's all really well tested across multiple businesses. So with the strategy that you've seen today, Max is currently ranking hundreds of different pages for dozens of different businesses locally, and quite a number of businesses nationally as well. And that obviously comes down to different processes. But at the end of the day, every business is different, and it's important to understand the factors that are making it rank. So I think spying on competitors and getting insights is a very clever technique. So Max, thanks for sharing, mate. I think that is gold. In terms of getting in touch with us, if you're finding that you want to get further answers, or you've got any requests for information, info@use.com.au is a direct way to reach the team. You'll also find us on Facebook and LinkedIn with Your Easy Web Solutions as a username as well. I also run a podcast called Better Business Podcast, where I cover a whole bunch of different business topics, and also interview quite a lot of business owners and experts that specialize in various aspects of marketing, sales, coaching, and everything else. So thanks for jumping onto this training session today. I hope you've enjoyed it. It'd be really good to get some feedback, and please share it with anyone else who can benefit from it. My name is Alexei. This is Digital Workshop Series, and I hope to see you in the next workshop that we're running.